Good afternoon, grade 12s, and very welcome to yet another very interesting lesson of Business Studies, grade 12. We are still in topic 2, which is human resources functions, and today we are dealing with Unit 2, procedures related to recruitment, selection, and interviewing. So as we continue our lesson, let us look at our lesson outcomes. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the historical developments and their impacts on human resource management. You should also be able to outline the development and functions of human resource management. You should be able to understand the differences between human resource management and personnel management. You should be able to evaluate hard and soft approaches to human resource management. And you should be able to understand how diversity is an issue in human resource practices. And you should be able to consider the human resource management as an international issue. Key questions that you need to ask yourself. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to respond to the following questions. What are the steps in the recruitment procedure? What sources are available to the human resource manager to be able to select good candidates? Which procedure can be followed to ensure that the best applicant or candidate is appointed? At the bottom of the slide, you will see that there is a bar that shows the recruitment, selection, interview, contract, and placement and induction. So in this unit, we will use all our knowledge related to recruitment, selection, and interviewing to discuss these procedures and critically analyze each of the human resources procedures. So the human resources function balances the needs of a business and the needs of employees. To do so, it applies policies and procedures within a legal framework, such as those relating to recruitment and salary determination. The human resource function is one of the business functions that makes up a business microenvironment. So within the HR function, within a business, we have your PR, your financing, your purchasing, your production, marketing, general management, administrative functions, and then we have what we are dealing with today, your human resources function. So in human resources, we recruit, select, and develop staff, and we determine and administer salaries. So the recruitment procedures. Recruitment is an ongoing process as employees leave their jobs for other jobs and or getting promoted or as they retire or as new technological skills are required. So every time an employee leaves a job, the HR department would need to recruit a new employee, or every time that we move to another evolution with regards to technology, new skills are required, and that means that HR needs to appoint a new staff member. So TQM, which is total quality management, can be applied to ensure that recruitment methods will put the right people in the jobs using measurable, predictable, and actionable assessments to ensure that quality standards are upheld in the business. What are the steps in the recruitment process? So first, they need to determine the exact needs of the business or the specific department, and the line manager together with the HR manager has to do a job analysis and prepare job description and job specification. After that, they need to identify and decide on the recruitment source. A decision must be made as to whether the recruitment should be external, internal, or both. Wait, what is external? External is applications or employees coming from outside the organization, and internal are those coming from within the organization. They should also then write the advertisement and include all the relevant information, such as name of the recruiting officer, name and address of the business, the contact numbers of the business, and the closing date for applications. Lastly, they should place the advertisement in appropriate newspapers, staff magazines, the internet, or they can send the information to a recruitment agency. So in newspapers that is an external source of advertising a post, and then staff magazines is one of the internal sources of advertising a post. The internet can be both internal and external because both internal and external applicants have access to the post advertisement then. And when they send it to recruitment agencies, it means it's also coming, the applicants are also coming from outside of the business or externally, because recruitment agencies are an external part of the business. Now let's look at a job analysis. Appointing the right person to the right job at the right time is crucial to the success of any business. To the success of the business, the employer must be very clear about the nature of work to be performed so that an appropriate job description can be prepared. The employer or manager must then write a job specification. Um, so So we already discussed recruitment methods. Those are the two. Under that, we have two main types of recruitment methods, which is the internal recruitment, I've explained it, and then the external recruitment. Internal recruitment, just briefly again, is the identification of workers already working for a business to fill a vacant position in the organization. Internal recruitment methods include promotions, promoting an employee to a higher position, transfers, moving an employee from one position to another of a similar level of responsibility. Internal referrals is recommendations from existing staff members, often a supervisor. And internal advertisement is business circulars, your notice boards, bulletins, verbal announcements, or emails. What is a job description? A job description is a written description of the job and its requirements. It includes details about the duties and the responsibilities of the employee, the job title, working conditions, and in which department the position is. Job specification is a written document of specific qualifications and characteristics necessary to do the job, such as physical requirements, specific qualifications, education, skills, experience required, and then also you will find that I placed a note here that the job specification will indicate whether people with disabilities can perform the specific tasks and duties. So basically, the job specifications identify the suitable person, or tells you who is the suitable person who may apply for the job and who needs to be appointed for a particular post. Recruitment sources. As already discussed, there are two main recruitment sources to find new employees. The first one is internal resources. Business can look for suitable candidates within the organization. Positions can be advertised via internal mail or on notice boards for existing employees. Referrals and recommendations from current employees and managers can also be used. And then recruitment sources, when we continue it, we also look at our external resources, which then tells us that businesses can look for suitable candidates by making use of external resources such as your employment agencies that provide a service for both job seekers and businesses. Work-ins, which are people applying directly at a business. The internet, because it has also become an important source of recruitment. Industry organizations, they can send out notifications to registered members, like for instance, if you are a teacher, the South African Council of Educators, or unions like South African Educators Union or Professional Educators Union, they can send out notifications to registered members notifying them of an existing post somewhere. Now let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of internal recruitment resources. The advantages of internal resources is that the employee already understands how the business operates, so the business doesn't actually need to familiarize the employee with that again. It also allows an employee to move to another branch, or actually allowing an employee to move to another branch or department could reduce the chances of losing the employee. So you make sure that the business makes sure that the employee is retained. A detailed, reliable information can be obtained from supervisors and employee records. So a detailed characteristics of the employee can be, or reference from the employee can be obtained directly from within the company. Promotion opportunities are created for all employees. That is also one of very good advantages. And then the disadvantages would be that the business will not benefit from new ideas, because if it doesn't get new employees, no new ideas are necessarily received by the business. And the promotion of an employee could cause resentment among other employees. So other employees may feel that the new appointment makes them unhappy or the likes, and the number of applicants from which to choose from is limited to existing staff only. So that's also a disadvantage. And then one last one is that it is possible to promote deserving employees who do not really have the required skills for a new job. So employees may deserve a promotion, but they may not have the required skills for a new job. So what are the advantages and disadvantages for external recruitment resources? So first, let's look at advantages. Advantages is that new employees with new ideas and new skills are introduced into the business, prevents unhappiness between existing employees who have applied for a post. There's a larger pool of applicants to choose from. Remember, external people are much more than internal people, so a lot of more people will be applying for the post. The core business of recruitment agencies is to find suitable candidates, therefore they have a good chance of success. So it means that if recruitment agencies look for an employee for your business, it would be a great success plan, because their core business as recruitment agencies is to find suitable candidates. But what are the disadvantages of external recruitment? External sources can be expensive. Recruitment agencies require a fee, and adverts in newspapers and magazines can be very expensive. External employees will need in-service training, which can lead to a decrease in productivity. Many applicants who do not qualify for the requirements of the position can apply, which will place a burden on the selection process. And existing employees might become resentful when external candidates get promotion posts. Let's look at a fast fact. According to the Employment Equity Act, a vacant position must be advertised, and current employees cannot be promoted into a position if it wasn't advertised. External sources for recruitment include newspapers, magazines, and the internet. Let's look at the selection process. Applicants have to submit their curriculum vitae or CV and a letter of application to the HR department. And the purpose of the selection process is to choose applicants who are most likely to succeed in the advertised position. The HR manager and manager of the specific department are directly selecting suitable candidates from all the applicants. Okay, so let's look at the selection process. The selection process follows these steps. So number one, it's the preliminary screening. Number two, it's screen and shortlist applications. And then number three, they inform all applicants about the outcome of their applications. And then number four, they conduct interviews. And then number five, they test the candidate. And then they do background checks and references. And then the last step is number 7, whereby they notify successful and unsuccessful candidates in writing. Remembering that selection is the process of choosing the best applicant for the advertised position, we can also say that the first step would be receive documentation, and applicants submit the application form, CV, and certified copies of personal documents, for example, your ID and proof of qualifications. And then the second step we can say is the screen applicants. Candidates who meet the requirements are separated from those who obviously do not. And then CVs are evaluated, applicants are evaluated against preset requirements and are ranked from most suitable to less suitable candidates. Candidates with the highest ranked order are placed on a short list. Usually it's between 3 to 5 candidates. Then we check information on CVs. The candidate's qualifications and the employment history are checked and confirmed. Referees are contacted to verify information on the CV and to testify to the personal character, abilities, and skills of applicants. And then interviews are conducted. So candidates whose names appear on the short list are invited to a personal interview, usually on the premises of the business. The interview is a formal business meeting between an employer and a candidate. It allows the employer to get information about the candidates, to evaluate the candidates further. Candidates also have a chance to assess their possible workplace and get more information about the post and the business. This step is the process may involve more than one round of interviews. Various assessments may need to be completed before the best candidate is chosen. Standard screening tests may be taken down, and shortlisted candidates may be required to take down medical and skills tests. And lastly, offer of employment. A written offer of employment or letter of employment is made to the selected candidate. The candidate must accept the offer in writing, and the employment contract will be negotiated and signed by the new employee and the employer. Unsuccessful candidates may be informed unless otherwise stated in the job advertisement. So remember, we also have standard screening tests. So screening means separating those who can do the job from those who cannot. So standard screening tests also include the following: skills tests to test specific and general proficiencies, aptitude tests that analyze the capability of an applicant to learn new skills for the job, and then we also find integrity tests to analyze how honest and trustworthy a potential applicant is. And then medical examinations may only be required after a job has been offered and must relate to the job. Drug tests before appointment are one of the ways in which employers can protect the workplace against the negative effects of alcohol and illegal substances. So interviews form one of the parts of the selection procedure. Interviewing gives employees the opportunity to meet the applicants in person and to evaluate their skills, qualities, and suitability for a specific job. The applicant has the opportunity to ask questions about the job, salary, and working conditions. Each interview must follow the exact same procedure with the same questions to ensure equal opportunity and fairness. The interview process. Okay, let's look at another fast fact. Suitable candidates are selected for interviews. Fast fact: the question that appears on application forms must comply with the requirements of the Employment Equity Act. So as already mentioned, the selection interview has two purposes. It determines the suitability of the applicant to do the job and verifies the information provided in the CV and application form. So in short, interviewing gives employers the opportunity to meet the applicants in person and to evaluate their skills, qualities, and suitability for a specific job. The applicant has the opportunity to ask questions about the job, salary, and working conditions. So the interview should be recorded for reference purposes, and the nature of the position usually determine the type of interview that will take place. These interviews can be structured. This means that the human resource manager prepares a list of questions which will be put to all candidates, and it can be semi-structured. Only the most pertinent questions are prepared, and discussions around these answers will take place during the day. Before we do our activity, I want us to look at the role of the interviewer. The interviewer is to compile a list of key questions based on the required skills, knowledge, and capabilities. And then they have to check the applications and the CVs for anything that needs to be explained, set interview date, and ensure that all interviews take place on the same date if possible. Inform all shortlisted candidates about the date and place of the interview. They should allocate the same amount of interview time to each candidate. They should introduce members of the interviewing panel to each candidate. They should also explain the purpose of the interview to the panel and the interviewee. They should not misinform or mislead the interviewee, and they should avoid discriminatory or conversational types of questions. For example, asking a female candidate about family planning. They should also provide an opportunity for the interviewee to ask questions. So now, What is the role of the candidate or the applicant? The applicant's role is to greet the interviewer by name with a solid handshake and a friendly smile. Unfortunately, the handshake is not allowed during COVID-19. Listen carefully to the questions before responding. They should also make eye contact and have good posture or body language. They should show confidence and have a positive attitude. They should be inquisitive and show interest in the business. They should ask clarity seeking questions and they should be assertive. They should show respect and treat the interview with its due importance. And they should be honest and about mistakes and explain how they can deal with it. They should know their strengths and weaknesses and be prepared to discuss them. So now, guys, we have to do an activity. This activity must be submitted on Saturday, 15 August at exactly 1800 hours, meaning 6 p.m. So in the activity, it's activity 2.2, we are going to apply recruitment and selection techniques. So you have to read the scenario and answer the questions that follows on the next slide. Let me read it quickly. Abe Simon owns a small retail shop in Soweto. He wants to employ an office assistant who will contact suppliers, keep documents and files in order, and liaise with the public. Applicants must have experience in Microsoft Office and must be able to communicate clearly. The minimum qualifications is a grade 12 certificate. So now you have to help Mr. Simon to complete a job analysis for the position by completing the information for a job description and job specification in the table below. So in the table, you'll find two columns. The first column is the one with job description. So under job description, you need to give the job a title, a job location, and duties as you will find them from the piece that you read. Then the job specifications, you should include the qualifications, personal qualities, experience, and qualifications. All of this is out of 25 marks. And then number two, you are required to evaluate whether job analysis will help him to interview the right people. But you should also motivate your answer. This will be 4 marks. You should advise Mr. Simon on how he should go about selecting the best applicants to interview for the job.